Are you implementing everything that diet culture tells you to do? Eating a salad for lunch, skipping on the bread rolls, and doing that HIIT workout. And yet, are you feeling worse than you did before? This is quite the conundrum in our day and age. I talked today with Sierra Wright, who is a registered holistic nutritional practitioner and holistic chef. And though she has studied nutrition and she absolutely loves what good nutrition can do to the body, today we had an inspiring conversation at how the health and wellness industry and everything promoted can quickly turn for the worse and can quickly turn into disordered eating. This was a really fascinating conversation. I wish I had more time with Sierra. I definitely want to invite her back to the show because there were so many good points that she made that I wanted to just pause and really expand on those things, but I also wanted to hear what she had to say, so I will definitely be having her back. I do want to say that before you start listening to this show, that Sierra was in a coffee shop during this show, and so the sound is not the best, and honestly, my sincere apologies on that, but I hope that with all the sort of editing that I tried to do on iMovie, that the sound came out a little bit clearer with less sort of banging going around in the background. Within, I think, like 7 minutes of the show, we did switch locations, and that new location did have a way better sound. So if the first like 7 minutes are like, this is really bad, the last like 30 minutes is pretty decent. So anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into the first question that I asked Sierra. So I'm really excited to be talking with you today. We met on social media, and it was just one of those conversations where it just boom, 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 it just went, and we're like, yes, like we understand. Yeah. Sierra has a lot of information to share with us today, but I really wanted to start with asking her a question.
Totally, let's do it.
That would be, what is one of the craziest things that you used to think about diet and nutrition or exercise that you used to implement and do in your life, but now you're looking at it and you're like, whoa, that was way off?
Totally. I would say the most significant as far as what pushed me in the most disordered eating mentality and physical, mental, emotional kind of distraught would probably be the fact that I thought I had to live off salads only and everything else was bad. And I know to many that sounds maybe an obvious or like, oh, well, yeah, salads are healthy. I think for me, it was so much more. And I would eat so much fiber in my day, and I would consume only vegetables, and it was my safe food. And I think because of that, I developed the most disordered body that I possibly could have had. And I think a lot of the times as a nutritionist and in the nutrition field, we promote, salad is healthy, and it doesn't need to be boring. But sometimes what our body needs is just simple food, back to basics, some flour, awesome, fresh sourdough bread, whatever it is. We just need more basic food to help balance out our body. And I don't feel like as a nutritionist or in the holistic platform, we promote that side of what good food is as well. And there's so much benefits from it.
I love that you just said that. Yesterday, I had a friend who was over at my house, and she's had a very similar story to both you and I, very much disordered eating, only ate salads and vegetables and was vegan for a long time. And that's all she ate. And we were cracking up. I made a beautiful lunch, and I had, we had eggs, we had bacon, we had sweet potatoes. We had hardly any, like, red bell pepper sauce. That's about it. But we had hardly any vegetables. And she just looked up at me. She's like, Chloe, I haven't had a vegetable in like a week, and I'm feeling the healthiest I've ever been. And we started laughing at how too much fiber can really be detrimental, and how, I think that's one thing that the health and wellness industry is really good at promoting, is this idea of the more the merrier in terms of vegetables. And in reality, we don't need that much. And it can be really
No.
actually detrimental when we start having our diet be 90% fruits and vegetables. It's too much fiber.
Yeah.
It's so rough on our system, and it's just imbalanced. We need fat. We need protein. We need all these other things in our diet. So we were just laughing at how we used to be obsessed with everything green, so many vegetables in every meal. And now I'm like, I don't like, obviously I like vegetables and all that, but it's not the big base of my diet.
Totally. And I mean, it's finding what works best, right? For like each person at each state of their lifespan too. I mean, there might be times where our body feels, it craves that nutrient density water content from these vegetables and fruits, and our body is literally telling us, hey, like I crave this, I want it, and it will absorb it properly and be able to digest it. That's what our body needs at that time. It's also tuning in and listening. Like I would eat, a salad I would eat all day, and that's the thing is that I never stopped eating, but what I was eating was so it was only vegetables, and I was like packing my system, and I was like, well, I'm healthy. I'm like, I don't understand how I'm not how am I still losing weight? And this time, like looking back now, it was so disordered because my mentality was fixated on, well, I'm healthy. I'm the healthiest person I know. Like, why is it happening to me? And it's so interesting because the more that I grow into my healing journey and speak with other clients, it's such a similar pattern, and it may come out in different ways. Some may choose to abstain from eating in total, and then they have their safe foods when they do eat. But even for myself, I mean, it was masked. People had no idea, and I think just looking back now, what really nourishes me the best I've ever felt is when I lessen my vegetable and fruit intake, because I already get that through other things. Like I get enough fiber to eat a wholesome diet, but I also just chillax. I just eat what I need, eat what I want. I eat well. I'm like not labeling anything, not saying I'm going to have a vegetarian meal for lunch, I'm going to eat this for dinner, or I'm going to eat all meat. Like I just go with the flow, and that is what helps me. And it's been such a great implementation into like my mindset of just go with the flow, just do what you want, and don't identify with anything. So
yeah, it was a huge slap in the face for me when I noticed that people who are eating beer and pizza every Friday were way healthier than me. Who was like exercising 7 days a week and all that. I'm like, why is my sister? Why does she have a period? Why is she healthy? Why does she sleep like a baby? And here I am, like juicing every morning my celery juice and eating chlorella tablets, and I'm like losing my hair and don't have a period. Yeah. So as a result of all of this clean eating that you're doing, all this knowledge of nutrition that you were getting, and this implementation of certain dieting behavior into your life, what resulted from that? What were the consequences? What was sort of your story here? How did this affect you?
I would say that it really started out at a young age, because I started educating myself pretty young. I was like, looking back, I was 12 years old. And when I was 12 years old, I was interested in the health and fitness lifestyle. And, I wasn't trying to be a gym fanatic or get involved with, restricting myself with eating. I just wanted to learn, and I was always interested. And to this day, that's just who I am, because here I am as a nutritionist. So looking back, what was on the internet and what was accessible to me at the time, and what I was exposed to, whether it was from people I was following or whatever it may be, it was more of the dieting culture, I would say. Sugar was bad, everything was sugar free, stevia wasn't even really anything, it was more aspartame and like all these like Splenda, and that's more the direction I was going to. It was like the biggest chicken breast I could buy, all these things. And that was ones that was like hormones and antibiotics, because I wasn't educated in that level, but I was interested in health. So as I went through those years, like I already started having a disordered mentality about food, because here I am thinking carbs are bad, and I need to have sugar free and all these things. So as I went into probably my high school years, there was a lot of signs that I look back on now that it was disrupting my day-to-day life because I would continue to develop these abnormal behaviors that I would do. And so I kind of developed these obsessions, whether it's checking my chin like this, sometimes 100 times a day to see if it was growing, and I would have a double chin, and I would check my stomach. I would like lift up my shirt and look at my stomach in public to see if I had abs that were showing and if I had holes. And
it's not just once. The body checking happens like 500 million times a day. I remember being so preoccupied with what my stomach was doing in fear of that I would like all of a sudden gain 100 pounds, and it's like
in like so 5 minutes, right? Since the last time you checked.
It's ridiculous because it's natural to bloat. It's natural for your body to change size a little bit. And I mean, this is a little bit. You're not, going to gain 100 pounds. But I was so preoccupied with, oh my gosh, wow, I'm a tiny bit bloated. Wow, I look 20 months pregnant now. And it was such a disproportionate view of my body.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that, I see a lot with myself and I see a lot with clients. And most commonly lately, and why I really wanted to kind of go into this was practitioners, people that are in the field of holistic wellness industries, doctors, naturopaths. I think is a very disordered eating, and I think that it's such a gray area that we're not talking about as often, because just because someone appears healthy, and quote unquote, because there's no definition of healthy. Healthy to me is what you are thinking and saying, not what you are eating. And I think it's just something that we need to share more of our experiences with it, because that's the realness, that's the rawness, right? It's not always seen on our physical body, it's what's happening internally. And the more that we share this, it's going to become so refreshing for people like ourselves and others that have gone through an experience and that know that, hey, like, you're not alone. Like, there's other people that have gone through this experience. And there's things, I used to think I was crazy because I would check my chin, and I had people call me out for it a few times, and I remember I felt horrible about it, but I kept doing it. And the reason why I felt bad about it is because I knew it was irrational. I knew it was crazy. I was like, why am I doing this? But it was a habit, and it became so ingrained in my day-to-day. It became so ingrained, and that is just a fraction of what it is that my body would be doing. So kind of going into my teenage years, I had a very disordered eating habit. Like I would enjoy going out with girlfriends and having drinks and having late night pizza, but I would also then spend the whole week going to the gym and lowering my calories, eating really well. And so I never actually enjoyed it because I always had to feel like I had to punish myself for something after, because it was like, oh yeah, well I ate like burgers and fries, so I gotta go work out for 4 days now. It was never fun because when I did it, I was like, oh, I don't want to have to do that. But I had to because there's no other way, which is so not right. And, now my partner and I, we have a farm-to-table company. And when I started going to nutrition school, I really wanted to kind of complement what we have together and be able to educate further on myself of where we get this beautiful, beautiful produce and our ethically sourced meats and stuff. I wanted to learn about that because I wanted to give our guests and clients that experience and elevate it and be able to be confident with what I was saying and just understand the economic dynamic of it as well. So that's when it literally exploded, because I had then gone from just enjoying what I was doing to stuffing so much information down my throat that I could, and learning with these nutrition books that was saying, right and wrong and bad, good, and going into reading things that said like, our ancestors used to fast, and so it would explain this, and all it was doing was giving me knowledge. But I took that and I literally ran with it, and I made it a problem. And I made it
into a religion is what it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
and that's what I would love for you to speak on this a little bit. Because it's sort of this weird two-edged sword here. It's really important to know about nutrition. I think,
absolutely,
cancer and heart disease is on the rise. There are obviously some dietary factors to that. So it's like, yes, be healthy, learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
And where's the line with disordered eating? Because that's a lot, especially with social media. What we're seeing now is just this it's taken to this extreme, this idea of clean eating or healthy eating. I'd love for you to just speak on this whole sort of topic, because I know this is something of interest to you. So what is your thoughts on sort of just the role that the health and industry plays in general in our lives?
Well, this one's hard for me to talk about in a way, but it's because it is so close to me and so close to many that I have spoke with, and it affects them. So I just think that there is a faultiness in the medical industry, both holistic and Western. And I think there's a gray area in the term and the word orthorexia, because it is not necessarily something people catch on to. And I think there's going to be lots of blind eyes towards it as well. So one of my experiences that I had was at the kind of the bottom of my digestive distress. I was at the lowest weight, lowest body fat. I was so sick and I was so unwell, and I was hospitalized because I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I was constantly trying to drink fluids because I was so thirsty, but I didn't know why. I was drinking 4 to 5 liters a day of water. I was flushing all the electrolytes out of my body because I just felt like my body needed something. And what my body's craving was food, not water. And that's what he was giving me like faulty signs for. But I remember going to a naturopath.
That's a really good point, though, that I think I can't tell you how many clients with mine, this is overlooked. They come to me, I'm chronically constipated. I'm always bloated. So I'm cutting out gluten. I'm cutting out sugar, and I'm cutting out this. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, cutting out is not the solution to this. This is a starvation response. You're not eating enough. Your digestive system is literally shutting down. Some of my clients would go to the hospital week after week because they were so constipated, and then here we are, and I go, honey, you gotta eat at least 2,000 calories a day. So they up from like 1,000 calories a day to 2,000. All of a sudden they're like, I poo every morning. I'm like,
I know.
Well, yes, you gave your body what it wants.
Exactly, right?
I just wanted to put that in because I think a lot of people don't realize that their digestive problems can be associated with undereating.
Totally. And, and I think that's something like there's so many people that they overlook it themselves as individuals, but where it becomes an issue and where it became an issue for me and where it becomes an issue for a lot of people is when we go to medical professionals. I went to a naturopath. I spent a lot of time and a lot of money investing in my health to try and see what was going to further better me. At this point I was already a nutritionist. I knew better, and I don't want to say I knew better, but I knew the information. I knew the knowledge of what I was doing and what, but I didn't understand because I was fooling myself. And so when I went to see this naturopath, she put me on so many protocols. She put me on Candida. She put me on SIBO. She put me on parasites. Everything that she did each time I went for a visit was a new protocol. So I was yet again hospitalized. My lips turned blue. My blood sugar dropped. I fainted, and it was because I was restricting myself further. Now, where this became an issue even more so was the fact that in her office, she knew everything that I was doing. She weighed me. She knew what was happening, and I feel like either she turned a blind eye to it, or there is this mysterious gray lining where if you're not anorexic and you're not bulimic, it doesn't exist, or it's IBS, or it's stress. And I disagree with it, because you know what? That's where we need to grow some awareness, and we need to have medical professionals say what it is that they feel it might be, because I don't understand how someone in her level of profession could not give me that answer and say there might be something that we need to do, and it might need to be an adjustment to your overall weight, body fat, diet, everything, right?
That's the thing.
It was fine to her. It was a clean bill of health. And I was like, no, it's not.
Even gynecologists and endocrinologists, if a woman comes in and says, hey, I haven't had a period for 2 years, and they go, oh, well, you're at a normal weight. Oh, you're fine. No, continue exercising, do all this. And I'm like, what? know. Like if she comes and she, you know, she may need to be put on a couple pounds. She's going to need to stop exercise. She's going to need, you know, and it's like for you to say, oh no, you're totally fine with exercising 7 days a week.
But that doesn't exist in our society.
No,
because in our society,
because we're fat phobic and the doctors are fat phobic.
Exactly. And you know what? There's more of a fear of what's going to happen to us with heart disease than there is in mental disease. And that's why there needs to be more awareness. And I think, you know, we all go through things, but this to me can be a very much so a mental health issue. And I think that just raising awareness for people to feel supported and know that when they seek health professionals, that they're going to tell them what they should hear and what they think is right, because these candida protocol and going on, you know, SIBO diet and low FODMAP diet, that is yet again not, it's a restrictive diet for one, and for two, for someone like myself and what I was already eating and everything else aligned on any piece of paper, that would be insanity. And it was, and I fainted, and it was really bad. And because of it, I just feel really, I feel a little hostile towards the health and wellness industry at times, but yet again, it is so powerful and can be used to educate people, and there's such a need for that as well. But it's about getting the right information and also trusting and confiding in people who are going to deliver the proper information.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of doctors are focusing on the heart disease, on the cancer, on the obesity, on all of that. But a little fun fact for the listeners here, when you have low estrogen in your body, that increases your risk for heart disease. I don't know exactly the number.
Exponentially, exponentially, I know.
It's really detrimental. So it's like, this is a mental illness, yes, but it's a mental illness that has very physical ramifications.
Totally.
And more people die from anorexia than any other mental illness because of the physical ramifications.
Yeah.
So it's time that the doctors realize that there is such a thing as quote unquote too healthy or quote unquote too skinny. And the conversation needs to stop being on solely just obesity, which is, yes, I understand. And that's important. And we need to address that. But also we need to address this ever growing concern of girls who are not at a healthy BMI, and who are mentally very disordered in their way of eating and working out.
Yeah. I would like to share something too, which ties into what I last just said, but it also is something I see a lot of health practitioners promote, and it's going to be supplementations, because supplementing certain vitamins, minerals, superfoods, I think there is always going to be a benefit to it. And there's sometimes when our body does need that extra assistance, and it is going to be beneficial. It's going to help us get to where we need to get and restore our levels. I don't disagree. I do feel like, though, that there is such thing as too much. I also feel like less is more. And I've always told that to clients, because at one time, myself and what I was doing, I was over supplementing, and someone with digestive distress, when you're taking pills, powders, liquids, all these different things, your body is not breaking it down properly if you're experiencing digestive distress. And when you're not, like I said, sometimes less is more, and our bodies want whole food form. But not only that, they just want it. They want it to be simple, because when it's not simplified, it's not going to be absorbed properly, and it can really cause irritations, right? So I think just tapping into, yes, chaga mushrooms are fantastic. Yes, spirulina has benefits, but are you doing it for the right intentions and really cueing into, why am I taking this? Is it to help myself, or is it because
I'm fearful of dying?
To perfect yourself, and you're fearful of dying, and the intentions around supplementation is huge. And I think really just understanding why you're taking certain things. Is there a need? Is there a place? And if there is, then I do welcome it. But doing your education and listening to yourself intuitively as to why is going to help you get what you need and be able to absorb that most optimally. So.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that is a huge point. And I just want to add two things here. One, supplementation as in an add-on to your already healthy diet and lifestyle. So don't expect the chaga mushrooms to all of a sudden cure your autoimmune disease.
No,
Number two, this is a huge issue because now we have all these multi-level marketing, MLMs, the Arbonne, the Purion, all these things that are promoting all these supplements from these people who are not trained in any way, shape, or form to know what people need. And it's sort of this, it's just this huge money-making thing right now on Instagram, and all these girls are just, oh, look at me with my, X, Y, and Z supplements that I take every day. And it's like, whoa, you shouldn't be just promoting supplements like that to the large mass of people without knowing their history, what they need. And it actually can have quite detrimental effects. And I think that's something that we don't think of, like, oh, vitamin D is fine. I'm like, you can overdose on vitamin D and it's very dangerous. So if you don't need it, don't take it.
Totally. And I mean, so vitamin D, that's interesting that you brought that up, because you're in California and I'm up in Canada, Vancouver. So our sunshine compared to California is way, like, we don't get it very often. And, we do benefit from supplementing with vitamin D more so than people down south would. But it is a fat soluble, meaning it stays in our body, and we cannot just keep supplementing it and taking over the recommended daily dose and think that it's going to be fine because we so-called heard it's healthy. Well, that's the whole part of like educating ourselves and understanding, well, do we need it? Why do we need it? What's our intention? And then go from there, right? So every body is different. We all work entirely different. The way that things are bioavailable to you is going to be different to how it's bioavailable to me. And there's also different factors that play into our life and our lifespan. So stresses, factors, hormonal, big changes. I mean, anything that happens with us is going to affect how we're going to be digesting our food, digesting our supplementing, our thoughts, and everything. So it's really just adapting to what is working for us at that time and really understanding and listening to our bodies.
Yeah, I love that. Why do you think in general diet culture is so prevalent in this day and age?
I would definitely say it's going to be because right now, I see, especially amongst like the health and wellness industry, there's a lot of emphasis on the keto diet and fasting and intermittent fasting. And, I think that it's becoming really prevalent because our society and the social platforms that we have are becoming more in our face. They're growing, and our influencers are growing as well. So what our young youth is, or adults even, are absorbing more in our face and in our day it's more consistent, right? So I think it's becoming more prevalent, or actually I know it's becoming more prevalent because we're constantly bombarded by it, right? We walk into, I'll go back to like a supplement store, usually right in the first is keto this and weight loss this, and it's from brands that we trust because, well, they sell our multivitamins, and they make healthy food, and we're bombarded by these the juice bars and these cafe bars, and there's nothing wrong with these places, but yet again, it's these unconscious, or our subconscious is kind of just not really understanding what's happening. We're just like slowly getting things, and when you go and lay your head down at night, you don't even realize how many times you've been confronted with weight loss, diet, and influencers who are promoting these certain image looks. And we just don't recognize it until sometimes it's too late, or we just,
And I think one of the biggest issues with this constant bombardment of the health and wellness is that health and wellness to diet culture and to social media for a large part is six-pack abs, thigh gap, tiny as a button girl. And unfortunately for 96% of the female population, that is not only unrealistic, it is very detrimental to one's health, especially one's hormones. And so I think right there, it's such a hard thing in our day and age, because to be healthy, you sort of have to go against the status quo. And be like, hey, me, having a little chub on my stomach, or carrying a little bit more junk in my trunk, or eating, meat or eating eggs and eating whole milk, like that is me being healthy, and stop giving me these like fear mongering things of now I'm going to die of heart disease because I have six pack abs.
Well, and some of the things too that like has really helped me and helped some of my clients when I've spoke to them about this inner person that we have. I like to call it a different name. It's part of me, but it's not who I am, right? And so one of the things that I've been doing in my healing journey is just switching your words from I can't believe I just ate all that, or I gotta like, oh, I'm so full. I'm changing our wording towards ourselves, having a little softness, a little gentleness, and switching up and just saying, I'm so fortunate and blessed. I can enjoy all this incredible, yummy food. Like, I feel so blessed. It's so accessible to me, and I'm fortunate for that. And, it's so funny because it's like so small. It's just wording. You may not even believe it at first. But that mentality, those sentences you say out loud, even in your head to others, fake it till you make it. I think that is such a thing because it takes 90 days for our brain to rewire our neurons and be able to create a new pattern. And it is just as easy to have a positive pattern and positive relationship with ourselves than it is to, I lost you there. Oh yeah. Positive relationship to ourselves as it is to create this negative one. And, we're all born with the thoughts that, we can fall down and we can get back up and try again. And, we see that in babies. They are so resilient. They're fearless and they go. They don't care about mistakes. They laugh it off. They cry. They show emotion. And, somewhere between that and who we become as an adult, there's a lot of information shut down our throats. And that goes back to why I do feel it's so prevalent. Is because we are influenced by so many different things that's happening, and it's such a fabulous time to be here on earth because so many amazing things are happening. But there's also a lot of areas where we need to become less so about what other people are doing and more so for just what we need and what we want in life, because we're so different and there's no just one way for anyone.
I love that. I've loved this whole conversation. I love what you stand for. And just sort of wrapping up here for our listeners, started the conversation by saying how much quote unquote clean eating ended up destroying your digestive system, your overall health, your hormone health, everything, your mental health. And we sort of joked around with that a little bit, but I would love to now sort of bring that back full circle. Where are you at now with how you view food and how you view exercise and how you nourish yourself?
Yeah. So, I love to do exactly that. I love to nourish myself. And some days I set up no plan days. So it means kind of what I've said in the past of this podcast, but go with the flow, right? So what's really helped me is like no labeling. So do not identify with any diet, remove and add as you please without announcing any specific words about it. So I will actually never tell myself, oh, I'll never be vegan again, or I'm only going to eat meat, or I'll never eat meat. And the reason why is because if I choose to do something, I'm not going to announce it because it's going to be how my body just needs to do at that time. And there's not going to be any restrictions on how long something's going to last, as long as it's intuitively meant for me and that time in my life. So labeling anything, any sort of diet or any sort of exercise, I need to go for a run. Well, maybe your body just needs to walk. And it's really about just like collecting your thoughts and thinking, okay, how can I just go do that? So just really listening to myself has helped. And I tell that to everyone I meet, other practitioners, my clients. I tell that to strangers on the street. Just listen to yourself, do you, right? So I think it's just a really incredible thing when you live it and don't care what other people do. And also say no. So say no, because sometimes I overdo my schedule and I pack it in, I get overwhelmed, and that is when I know and I've recognized I break down. So recognizing my behaviors of when is it that I know my health starts deteriorating more? When is it that I see myself latching on to my disordered eating a little bit more? And that's when I'm overwhelmed. It's when I feel I'm more tired. So when I'm more tired, I tend to overindulge in caffeine. I tend to want to, go for way more runs because I have this like stress in me. And I've now learned that I'm very vata, if we're going to talk in like Ayurveda terms, and I need to do more yin and I need to do more walks. And it's so hard to not go for that run, but you know what? It has served me so, so well. So, yeah.
I love that. No labels. This is the first time in my life, ever since I was 12 years old, that I have absolutely zero labels whatsoever. And it feels so good to be able to go to anyone's house or any restaurant and literally not care what's put in front of me. And I loved what you said. And I think that's a big step. So because that allows you to now get out of the box that you've put yourself in and to now be intuitive with, well, what do I actually feel like? And it allows you to be open to whatever comes your way. So, all right, last night I went to my parents' house and I walked in the door right when they were having dinner. Everyone was there. So I sat down and they had a big thing of stew and ham and potatoes and all this, which was great. I necessarily don't like ham that much. I love bacon. I love all that. I don't like ham that much.
We have preferences.
We have preferences, but at the same time, I was like, listen, I don't care. Sit down and eat it. And it doesn't matter. And it doesn't go in my head like, oh my gosh, but you had ham and you don't like it and all of this. And you had, I had bacon earlier that day for breakfast. So my past mind would have been like, but you already had meat today and you can't have it again. But I'm like, listen, it's just food. It turns into brown mush. Sit down, enjoy the other aspect of nutrition, which is sitting down with family, being in that communion. I've loved everything you've said. Thank you so much.
It's been so lovely to kind of come on and share. I loved it.
I'm definitely already seeing a podcast number 2 with you for sure. And hopefully we can, for the listeners, I'm sorry, the sound has been a little back and forth here.
Sorry.
It's really hard, but hopefully next time we'll get you in a space where we can hear a little bit more clearer because you have amazing things to say.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chloe. It's really been such an honor to be on here and share this with you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for tuning into the show today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed. Please remember to like the video and subscribe. I will be coming out with a lot of more podcasts and interviews with so many different people, all discussing eating disorder recovery, relative energy deficiency syndrome, amenorrhea recovery, orthorexia, anorexia, my journey into recovery, and gosh, so much more. So if you are struggling with food and body, or if you are stuck in quasi recovery, please message me, send me your question, and I would love to answer it in the next video if I know the answer. Okay, have a great day, guys.